Hi, and welcome to the final installment of the deep dive into the first third. So let's start with our squatting exercise and do this a few times. You know what to do, feet wider than shoulder width, turned out. You're sitting down and watching how the legs change as you squat, how that change percolates all the way down to the arch of your foot, how it keeps your knees in alignment with your toes, turning the thighs outward, how it broadens the base of the spine pelvis area, the changes in the torso. I want to bring special attention to your lower back this time. So as you do this, notice how as you squat, you're making room for the lower back to relax. And as you stand up, try to keep your lower back relaxed. It's not like an on-off switch. You want to make sure that you don't come up to a place that puts tension in your lower back, but this place at the bottom here gives you room for the lower back to really let go. And do this a couple more times, just noticing that. And then take a break for a minute. We tend to not talk about the lower back very much because we're not with you in person, and so it's very difficult to try to help you relax your lower back. But relaxing your lower back is actually really important. There's two ways that we hold tension in our lower backs. One is to increase the arch in the back. And yes, the spine has a little bit of an arch, but you don't want to accentuate that. And so the feeling of the arched back has a bunch of problems. One is it tends to lock your knees, tends to put all your energy forward. The chest becomes kind of lifted and forward leaning, and it cuts off the connection between upper and lower body. Your legs, whatever you're doing down in your legs to transmit that energy, isn't going to make it all the way up if there's a kink in your lower back, which is the waist. And so it's much more difficult to direct your movements from the waist if right there at your waist there's a bunch of tension. So you want to try and find a way to release that tension and get the upper and lower bodies to connect. So then that brings us to the other extreme, which is to tuck. And that may seem like it connects upper and lower better than the heavy arch, but there are problems with that too. One of which is that the connection between upper and lower when you tuck is just mechanical. It doesn't mean that anything that you're doing down below can play out up through your body. It just is kind of like a way to weld the upper and lower body together. And I know a lot of Taiji people talk about tucking the tailbone. I hear it all the time. That's nothing that we've ever been taught to do. It's not a useful position. You want to release the lower back, but you want to be upright. Once you tuck, how hard is it to get yourself upright when you tuck? It just goes away. So do this exercise again a little bit, and you can test it out and see that if you tuck or give yourself a bigger arch, it really affects the ability to do this squatting exercise. And at the same time, this squatting exercise gives you a place to release your lower back, soften the chest, let everything get broader as you sit down, and then come up through your center as you stand up. And it might be one of the best ways to just get that feeling when we're not in person to work on it, of releasing the lower back. So in addition to looking at the release that we get here, we want to have that feeling that runs down through the legs that makes that space for you. So notice the feeling of spaciousness. And once more. So we don't actually do that in the form. We don't stand that way, we don't move that way. How do we get that feeling of spaciousness in the lower back when we're doing the Tai Chi form? So we have a squat that we actually do in the form, and it's the cross hand squat. So I want you to now bring that same attention to standing with your feet shoulder width, toes in a line, not turned out, pointing straight ahead, just like we've finished the form and we're coming into the crossed hands place. And I want you to go up and down through that, noticing the same mechanics. So as you sit down, feel the movement through your legs. Feel how the thighs still have some of that rotation. How you still have a change at the arches as you go down and come back up. How you use the hip joints, how the hip joints keep your body upright so that you're sitting down, not sitting into misalignment. So what you do in those wide squats plays right into what we want, that same feeling. We just don't have quite as much space for it, but you still want that feeling of spaciousness inside. Jane used to do this with us all the time, where she'd have us start sitting down and the hands are coming up, and when you finish sitting as far as you can sit where your butt is still dropping, your hands have arrived. When you start coming up, when you reach your unlocked knee position, you've come up, your hands have come down into position. And so you can do this at your own timing, over and over, and notice that same feeling in the thighs, down at your feet, the knees having that changing relationship to thigh and calf that keeps them tracking your toes. The spaciousness at the base of the spine and pelvis. And it's important to pay good attention to what's happening in your hip joints. You want the two to move together. You're sitting down, the hip joints are changing, the hip joints are changing, the hip joints are changing. You arrive, everything has arrived. You stand up, you don't go up, you release into the ground and let that come up through your body. And when you finish coming up, your arms have finished moving. So it's really critical that you know if you're moving your hip joints the whole time. It's really easy to do something like this. So you see, my hip joints are stopping and the rest of me is still moving. You probably have more mobility in your hip joints than you think you do. Avoid the desire to get more movement in your hip joints by throwing your butt out. We talk about this often. When you're squatting, you only squat as far as your butt keeps going down. As soon as you can't keep, and it does not have to be deep. It can be, that's it. But know that your hip joints are changing the whole time, and really work that joint. If you're doing all of that, you will probably find that you have room to release your lower back, and little by little you'll get more mobility in there. So I want to encourage you to take the feeling that you find from doing this and try to bring those same feelings into the form. And in particular, we're here at the end of the first third, and we come into cross hands, and the cross hands place is deep. Think about watching Professor Chung do the form. When he finishes and he's in cross hands and then he stands up, he's just like on an elevator going up a couple floors. He's up, 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 up. Not because he does the whole form way, way down like that, but because coming into this place really is a deep stance. And then you have a lot of room to come back up. So let's look at the square form details going from push to closing. And use this information that you get from the squats to help you find the movement in your hip joints all through the form, to help you keep your knees with your toes, so the changes that happen in your legs strengthen the muscles around your knees so that you can use them effectively and not hurt them. And the feeling of spaciousness in your lower back so that you can release it and really have one chi that goes through the whole body. Avoid any temptation to do a tuck because you think that's going to get you somewhere. Let it go. You want a neutral alignment so that you're really upright. So let's take it, why don't we start at the last brush knee. We'll go through the punch and the wipe and the push just to kind of get ourselves there. I'm not going to do a whole first third because we're about to finish the first third and we could spend a bunch of time on it in a little while. So from the second brush knee, and as Lee is reminding us, notice the angle of your pelvis. If you've got an extreme arch in your back, see what you can do. Soften the chest and see if you can take what's caught up in your chest and find some room for it in your lower back. Notice if you're doing a tuck. It may feel like you're sticking your butt out just to untuck. So don't be fooled. Your proprioception may not be trustworthy. Really check it out. Give yourself space for the lower back to relax. And let's go. So hold it here a moment. Make sure that your arms are relaxed. Your shoulders are hanging. Your elbows are hanging. This is the condition Jane would call hanging your fingers from the clothesline. Really let everything hang. Notice the angle that your lower arms are taking. And as you sit into your back leg, let your hands expand upward on that same trajectory. Come back into push and just find that place again. 100% into your back leg, and your arms have expanded now. Now you're going to turn. And take a break here a moment. So once the arms expand upward, it's turning the waist that's going to take the arms apart. So if I do it so that I'm facing you, it's not arms. That's what draws the hands apart. You want to be 100%, just looking at the legs first, you want to be 100% on your right leg. This is a really hard place. The way you check it, as always, in a position like this, is that you release the knee. And it's the releasing the knee that frees the foot, not lifting the leg up. So that's one thing. You want to, this is going to put a lot of demands on your right leg so that you're sitting up on top of it and can free the left. Let the left come in, pivoting on the heel so that you get to this place. Look at the shape of the arms. This is the place Ben Lowe would say, like a W, not a diamond. What makes a diamond? Leading with the elbow makes a diamond. So you don't want to lead with the elbow. Sitting into the back leg, make sure you're on top of that leg, not just sitting so that you can pick up the foot and have all the weight going onto your heel. You want to sit on top of it so that when you turn, you both have more turn and you're in a position. Check out the bottom of your foot. Do what you can to get those 3 points in contact. And then it's the knee hanging that enables you to separate the weight. At this point, you're going to shift to the left and let the hands come down. Right foot pivots on the ball just to free that leg because now your right leg is empty. All the weight is now in your left leg and your arms have come down to a place around right about here. We like to call this embracing the world. So from here, let the pinky side lead and make a nice big circle here. Let's just do that much. Okay, sitting on top of your back leg, arms expand upward along that same trajectory. Turn. Left foot pivots on the heel. You're using as much as possible the right leg to hold you up. Let the left knee go. Whether or not it comes off the ground, you really still want to let that knee go. Then shift to the left. Let the pinky side keep leading. That turns your palms up. Your right foot pivots on the ball. And then the last bit is to get yourself into cross hands. So sit down. The right foot comes back. The arms come into position. And you're in a deep stance here. Rest your legs. The way the hands come up, think about your right hand is going to the upper left corner, your left hand is going to the upper right corner. Make sure that that's the way that your hands cross. You don't want to just have your hands come down here and then be like a zipper that just rises in front of your center line. That doesn't have the same functionality that having them come into this position by changing right hands going to the upper left corner, left hands going to the upper right corner. And remember, we've talked about this a number of times, the two fingers kind of space here that you get between your two hands. You don't want to be running on top of, running interference on your own body. Give yourself a little bit of space. So let's do it again. And checkpoint, all the weight in your back leg, and your arms have risen. So at this point, all the weight's in your right leg, keep it there. Turn. That's what draws the hands apart. And then you won't have to worry about whether you're a W or a diamond. It'll be in the right shape. You want to still have, as much as possible, all the weight on your right leg. So let the knee drop and see if you can pick it up. Shift to the left, hands drop, pinky side leads until it comes down, hip height. The right foot has pivoted, the hands have opened, the palms are up and out, and they're ready to make the shape of going to the opposite corners as you step back and sit down. Here's your next checkpoint. Deep stance. Hang out here a moment. If you didn't get your feet just right, go ahead and fix them so that you can actually sit here and really go deep as your hip joints will bend for you without distorting your body upright. And then when it's time to stand up, go down to your feet and let that rise back up through you, just like doing those other squats. And sit down, making sure that your hip joints keep changing until you've arrived, that your hands are in harmony with what's happening in the body, going up and down in a unified way. Notice the place where you hit your bottom. It doesn't matter how low it is. Give it your best shot. What matters is that you go as low as you can, still bending, keeping your body upright. And then as you come up, make sure you come up to an unlocked knee position. You don't want to straighten your legs, put a kink in your lower back, and lock your knees. So rest your legs a moment. This is killer. You do that a handful of times, you'll feel it. So once you've got the feeling from this, go ahead and bring it into a more limited place like we do in the form and see how that works. So let's do that whole piece again and we'll close. So I'll just keep following the same direction as you. Let's start at the last brush knee. Lower back is relaxed and go. Standing up. And rest your legs a moment. So that last little bit after we've stood up, where then we shift to the left, turn out the right foot, shift to the right, bring in the left foot, and come back to exactly where we started. When we learned this with Jane and Baton, we didn't do that last little bit. We just stopped here, and then we were done. And if you watch videos of Professor, you'll see that he doesn't do that last little bit either. Ben Lowe always had us close back up, and then when we started working with Maggie, she did too. I figure any place where Ben and Maggie, who are kind of polar opposites, come together and do the same thing, that's worth doing. So we've adopted that, and I think it's really nice to finish where we started. So some checkpoint details of what happens after you've come up. So you're going to shift to the left leg so that you can turn the right foot out, and come back to 50-50 and notice that it's not the foot, it's you're doing a turn through the whole body, connecting through that leg. You want to still be 100% in your left leg. You can very easily turn this without shifting the weight, and nobody will know but you. We might know, but you don't want to turn on that foot weighted. You want to give yourself one more opportunity to separate the weight. So sit into your left. Now, it doesn't mean go to the left. It just means sit down on the left and let that turn you to the right. Then shift to the right, and that's going to take your left heel off the ground. And then the floating knee helps you bring the foot back in. And then, again, feel down to the ground to stand up. And at that point, your hands have gone from a position like the opening move to a more comfortable, natural hanging position, so that there's a little bit of change in the arms as well. And then you're right back where you started, and can take that next important step after you finish the form that keeps those feelings alive as you finish. So let's do that whole piece from the last brush knee, and we'll close, and then it's time for Lee to kind of wrap this all up with a bow and call it a first third. Go. 100% in your right leg. Moving away from your left foot and letting it swing. 100% in your right. A little more in your left, turning the waist as you shift to the back leg, sink and turn all the weight, and come forward. Sitting onto your back leg, arms expand upward, turn, all the weight is in your right leg, left knee is hanging, shift to the left, pinky side leading, right foot pivots, and sit down, hands go to opposite corners, foot steps back, nice and deep stance. Feel your feet come back up, hands come down, weight to the left, turn to the right, shift to the right, left foot comes in, feel the ground, stand up, et voila. So those are another handful of details for you, and now we'll wrap it all up.
Great, let's go. So I want to draw your attention to a couple things. The first one is the cross balance, because that will really help you make all of this stuff work. And so I'm in this final push. We've gotten to this final place. I sit back. At this point, the full line is from my rear foot to my left hand. And you'll notice that when I turn, the left hand doesn't move very much at all. The empty hand here is the right hand. And as I turn, that's the one that does all of the moving. So this isn't both hands together somehow getting to the W. This is, you sit back, you turn, the left hand hardly moves, the right hand moves a lot, and the two hands end up away from each other in the W. Make sure you've still got this stability from the full right leg to the full left hand, because that's how you'll separate. If you don't have that, you'll get here, especially if you're in the right hand, you'll be pulling yourself over. And so this is one of those places where it's easy to get confused about it. The right hand is obviously the active hand here. So Beth's in the push, and I appear behind her, and I'm striking at her, and she comes and intercepts me with her right hand. So, there's the action, and then she can do some fancy thing of catching my arm as she does this. But it's the right hand. But if you get the right hand weighted, if you break cross balance there, you will definitely end up unstable with that hand heavy. So do this with me, right, wrong, right, just so you get that feeling. So from the final push, sit back, both arms extend upward. Now feel from the bottom of your right foot to your left hand. This is what makes you able to separate here. Turn, and as you turn, keep the right hand light. Keep the right hand light. And when you get here to this place, think about that full line from right foot to left hand and make sure that you still have that. There's your stability, line of stability. So do that again, paying attention to the cross balance. From the push, sit back, connect rear foot to left hand, turn, keep that line of stability, feel the right hand as light. Okay, now this time we'll make the naive mistake and have everything be on the right side. Right leg is heavy, right hand is heavy. See what that does to your stability. So, sit back, feel your right foot to your right hand, and turn, having the right hand be heavy. And go ahead and pick up your left foot. Okay, so once more with the cross balance. Sit back. Line of stability from right foot to left hand. Keep that. As you turn, right hand moves a lot. Then sink, and as you do this, feel from your left foot to your right hand when you get down here to the bottom. Step, cross hands, standing up. So that'll really help you to have that line there. We've spent some of these sessions on cross balance, and we haven't talked about it much in others, but it's there all along. Just like I was saying last time, we're giving you the tools to figure out how it works in your whole form, and you need to do that. But this one is a real clear one, where it's really easy to end up all on the right side as you're doing that. So that's one thing. A second thing is the delays. We've talked about the delays in turning, right? Like when you're going into ward off left and you step and you're turning and your rear foot isn't turning, and then it turns and then you finish turning. When you do it square, you'll tend to lockstep rear foot with waist. Everything starts together, everything finishes together. Little mechanical and held, an important thing to do, but not the ultimate. Same thing happens in going into single whip. I'm in push, I sit back and I start turning, and my right foot hasn't turned, and then the right foot comes with me. Now this is a good example, because when you do that and sit back, if you lockstep your right foot, your hips are unlikely to get past the right front corner. Your right foot will be there too, and then you've got an enormous step to take for single whip. When you let that stretchiness be there in the legs and you let the slight delay happen, then your foot gets turned further. You sit back and turn. I'm leaving my right foot behind. I get that feeling of tautness and I release it, and the foot actually slides and goes further than my waist did. My waist is to the corner, but the foot is actually square to the front. And so then that makes the next step a lot more doable because it's just 90 degrees rather than 135 or something, which is really hard. Same thing happens here. When you sit back, if you lockstep it, pick up your left foot and turn, you're only going to get your waist to this left front corner, and so your foot's going to be there too. And then when you end up in the final posture, your feet aren't parallel. So if you let that foot get that slight delay, you turn, see my left foot isn't turning, then my left foot turns, I drop my knee at the end, and that's what lets me have the left foot empty and pointed straight ahead. So let's do it lockstepping so that you observe, and then we'll do it with the slight delay. So you're in this final push, you sit back, forearms go up diagonally, lockstep it, pick up the ball of your foot and turn the foot with your waist, and be honest, don't twist, be honest about where you are. Your hips are going to be to the left front corner, not square. You just can't do that. And your foot is also going to be to the left front corner. So then you either accept not having feet parallel or you force it. So do that again. Push, sit back, pick up the ball of the left foot, lockstep, turn, look where you got to. Okay, now, just like going into single whip, give it that little delay. You're going to create that tautness across your leg. As you turn, then you release it, you drop the knee, and that can let the foot turn in all the way without you forcing it. So from the push, sit back, turn, leave the left foot behind, and then free it and drop your left knee. And look, my waist is still left of front. I'm not going to get it square till I actually start to shift. But my left foot turned so that it'll be in the right place for me when it's time to step 50-50. Do that again. Push. Sit back. Turn. Feel that feeling of tautness across the left leg. Release it. Now, as you shift, you come square to the front, and of course you haven't turned to the right foot yet. So you get the same thing happening in the right leg that then you release when you get to the end here. So again, it's not lockstepped. When I get to this point, I don't lockstep turn my right foot, which is really difficult because I'll still have weight in it. I let it take a little bit of time, and then the foot frees. So let's do that a little bit up to cross hands. Actually, we'll go all the way to the end because there's yet another delay. So let's go all the way to the end from the push. Sit back, turn the waist, leaving the left foot behind, freeing it, allowing it to turn. Shift, which finally gets you square. Keep sitting down, feel that feeling across the outside of the right leg, and release it, which lets the right foot pivot. Step, shift, feel the ground, rebound up through the whole body. And now to close, spiral into the left leg and notice that it doesn't turn the right foot right away. And then the right foot turns. So that's the last delay that I wanted you to find. So you don't force those delays, but getting that feeling of that slight stretch and then the release is really important for getting your Tai Chi authentic and alive. Then the last thing I want to look at is this use of the ground, where you reach bottom and you allow rebound to come back up through a leg. So this is one of the characteristics of going from square to round, is using the ground there. So when I've come through here and I do this last push, the rebound comes up through my rear leg into the push. I'm going to drop into the front leg and let that send me back. So it's not a thrusting out of the front leg. It's not a mechanical move back. It's just like all the 70-30 shifting we've been doing. I sink, and then I allow the rebound to come through the front leg, and I actually want to take it all the way to here. So this one's a little different from some of the other 70-30 shifting we've done, where all the rebound off the front leg does is take you to the back. This time you need to have it take you and turn you, and that's what powers all the way to this right hand. So the line of stability is from the right foot to the left hand. That's what keeps my balance. The line of action is from the left foot all the way to the right hand, all the way there. So try that. Let's see if we can't get that feeling. So from start in the back foot, start to shift, feel the ground in the back foot, let that bring you into the front. Sink into the front leg and let the rebound take you all the way to here. Do that again. Feel yourself in the back leg, drop, rebound through the back leg to the push, sink into the front foot, feel the ground, rebound all the way to the W place. Once more. Back foot, ground, rebound, release, ground in the left foot, and we'll follow that all the way. So you'll notice, take a break, you'll notice an important thing about that, which is that the action from that front foot takes you through two of the checkpoints, right? When we do this square, we sit back and the arms go up and we check our weight separation, and then we turn and we check that we're still separated. And when you let the change in relationship to ground drive the move, it's going to go right through those without a break. So there's my first checkpoint, but I continue to here. So I'm not going to have a pause at that first checkpoint, although, of course, you have to be able to do the square and make that work. Then, so we know what's happened. We're here, and I'm on top of my right leg, and I'm going to sink down through the right leg, and I'm going to allow that to take me into the left. I'm going to continue sinking as I bring the foot back, and then I'm going to let a rebound come up through both legs to take me into the cross hands. So this last bit has got some weird up and down that goes through the body, not throwing the meat around. And it's a little more subtle and a little faster than some of our other shifts, front leg, front leg. With this one, I've hit bottom in the left foot, turn, gathering down, bottom in both feet, and I let that fill me. And so you see what happens. I didn't stand up when I did that. It's not this. Right? So if I stand up there, I've lost what Beth was talking about. The cross hands is a deep posture. But I want to feel that feeling of coming up through the body, and that's what moves the hands. So this will be a little elusive when you're first working on it, but do the stuff we've been doing all the way through this so that you can find that action, make it authentic, and really have changing relationship to the ground powering everything. And then your homework is to figure out how do you stand up from there. This is just filled, and so the first thing that has to happen is that you drop. So as the very beginning of the standing up is a sinking down to the ground, and then you need to let that fill you as you stand up. So again, one motion standing up here has both components of hitting the ground and coming back up. So that's a little bit more complicated than when we've done it before. So I just want to kind of leave that as an asterisk for you. It's worth exploring. It's okay if you're frustrated by it some, and it'll reveal itself in time. So let's do a couple first thirds. We're going to do the whole thing from the beginning through to the end, and I'm going to have you focus on different things each time. The first time is going to be the brutal check every checkpoint. So do this with me. If you need to stop in the middle of it and stand up and shake your legs out, go ahead and do that, but then come back to it, get back down into it. And we're just going to try to go through every square form checkpoint through the whole first third. So from the very beginning. Sink into the right foot, allow the arms to bow, the heel of the left foot floats, All your weight is 100%. Step with the left foot. Shift and turn, 100% in the left, waist is to the right, you can pick up your right foot. Turn back to the front, you haven't shifted yet, you're still in the left, you can pick up your right foot. Shift 50-50 and come up to an unlocked knee position. Because we were just picking our feet up, you may have lost shoulder wide, feet parallel, go ahead and fix it. Okay, first one, allow the arms to release. They float up and feel out to your fingertips. Bring the hands back. Make sure the fingers are pointed straight ahead, not in. Fist width from the chest to the back of the wrist. Elbows have run into you. They haven't splayed to the side. Let the elbows slide back, the wrist drop, the fingertips point up. Still a fist width from the chest. Then let the hands come down, wrists gradually straightening till the end. Continue, shift and turn, pivot on the right heel, ball of air, no weight in the right foot, you can pick it up and float it. Shift into the right foot, now the two fingers point to the two walls side to side, rear foot has emptied, you can pick it up. Turn to the corner, step, heel first, no weight, you can pick it back up. Shift, right fingers come down inside left wrist, turn the waist, square to ward off left. Weight goes forward, right hand under left, and turn to the right. Ball of air, no weight in the right foot. Step, heel first, shoulder wide, no weight. Shift, right hand comes up, and turn, ward off right. Palms relating, square, all that jazz. Sink into the front foot, left middle finger by right wrist, and sit back 100%. Left palm up by right wrist. 100%. By right elbow. Left palm up by right elbow. Thanks. Turn from the right to the left. Still 100%. Swing the left arm. Still 100%. Come back together and press. Heart of the left hand over the right pulse point. Sit back 100%. Let the elbows drop into the rear root. Check your weight. And push. Palms facing out, not down. Sit back 100%. Forearms lay down, elbows rise, palms drop, 100%. Turn the waist. Make sure there's no twisting. Still 100%. You can drop the knee on the right foot and pick it up. Shift and turn, gathering the hook. Hands are directly over each other. Upper arm is dropped at a 45-degree angle. The hook is one fist width in front of your chest. Extend the hook on the line it was on. Step, no weight, heel first. Pick it back up. Shift, thrusting with the left arm. The left hand is in place, so when you turn your waist, it just turns out, same place. Single whip. 100% forward, turn to the right, hugging a big tree. Hug a smaller tree. Feel out to your fingertips. Palms turn, hands drop. Ball of air, right foot comes back. Don't pull your arms behind you. Don't pull the foot behind you. Step, half shoulder wide or no width, like an L, not a T, and shift. Waist turns frontal, left palm down by right elbow, right arm is long. Continue, sink and turn, white crane. Hand span from the eyebrow to the back of the right hand, fist distance from the thigh to the left hand, as much to the front as you can get without perturbing your right knee. And paying attention to the front. Drop the hands, turn, stop in the rear corner, 100%. Sink, fold, and step, heel first, no weight. Middle fingers of the two hands are directly over each other. Waist is still to the corner. Shift and turn. Brush knee, square, upright, all that jazz. Gather into the front foot. Pick up the rear foot by dropping its knee. Put it back down, still empty. Sink into the front foot to put it on the ground. Stretch the rubber band, heel of the front foot comes off the ground. Release the rubber band, play guitar. Right palm relates to left elbow. Waist is towards the front, but not exactly square. You're about 15 degrees off the front. Heel of the front foot rests on the ground, no weight. Continue, turn, let the foot go down flat on the ground. Stop in the corner. Make sure you didn't twist. Front hand drops, rear hand folds, front foot steps, heel first. No weight. Shift and turn. Brush knee. Sit back 100%. Right hand drops to protect groin, left hand opens, front foot pivots on heel, 100%. Shift forward, squeezing a fist from the little finger up to the index finger. Make sure you're really 100%. Rear foot is empty. Let it swing in and out. Still 100%. Shift, waist opens, arms trail behind, 100%. Turn the waist to move the hands and foot. Left foot steps empty. Right knuckles are faced out. Left hand is a high strike. Waist is slightly to the right of corner. And punch. Punch straight ahead of you. Left finger's right top corner. Left forearm faces the right. Left palm faces the right forearm. Two hands don't break through the tissue paper. More weight forward. Left palm up. Under right elbow. Fist opened up. Waist is turned further than square. Sit back to the cross hands place. Sink, turn back to the front, elbows drop into your rear root. You can pick up your front foot. And push. Sit back, forearms extend up along their line, 100%. Get the cross balance so you can keep your balance. Turn like a W, not a diamond. Shift and turn, embracing the world. Right foot pivots on the ball. Palms are up at the end here. Step. Shift. The two hands move to the opposite upper corners, a deep stance. Stand up. Hands drop. Back to the beginning. Shift. Right foot turns. Shift, coming back square to the front. Left heel lifts. Bring the feet together. Standing back up. So, work in the square form. If we were really training separation, we would take longer at each place. But I just wanted to remind you about all those things. Let's do another one. And this time I want you to really pay attention to the legs and feet. I don't care too much about what happens with the hands, but I want you to really have either one leg or the other is the one that you're standing on. So that's the first thing. If you can't get that, if you've got mushiness about which leg you're standing on, then only worry about which leg you're standing on. In this exercise of shifting forward and back, where we change which leg we're standing on right at the 50-50 point. So I want you to notice the 50-50 point for all of these. If you can notice the 50-50 point, which leg you're standing on, then you can start worrying working on which leg is actually the active one that's driving you, and watching the change from going down through a leg to 50-50 and allowing the rebound to come back up through the leg, going down through a leg to 50-50, allowing the rebound to come back up through the leg. But you got to get the stability first. So I want you to really pay attention to your feet and your legs on the ground, and which leg is supporting you. Then if you've got that, you can pay attention to the active leg, which leg is actually driving you with the ground. And with that, you should start to feel these changes in the arch that are happening as we've worked on in this squat. So I probably won't talk as much during this one, but really keep your awareness on the legs and the feet and how they're relating to the ground. And go ahead. Right foot. Right foot moving you. Feel it go down through the left foot. Up through both feet. Continue. Fill and release. Watch the change from rear foot to front foot. Now here's our classic 70-30 shifting. So we've done this a lot. Paying attention to the legs and feet, knowing which leg you're standing on, and knowing how you're generating the energy, which is supportive, which is active. Release into the left leg. Rebound brings you into the right. Release into the right. Rebound through both legs. Okay, and one more, and I'm going to go for broke. And so the thing this time is, the reason to spend the time working on our legs, we know which leg is stable, and we know how to actually generate power from the ground, is so that we can make the form work. And so every single thing you do in the form, every single thing you do in the form, every motion, however small, needs to be the result of it being rooted in the feet, released through the legs, directed by the waist. There are no independent motions in the form. They all happen through this stuff. Professor Chung said the entire Taiji form is nothing more than the alternation of empty and full, rising and falling, opening and closing. And he said the rising and falling and opening and closing in the opening move is the same rising and falling, opening and closing throughout the entire form. So, you've got a lot of tools now for working with the ground, for feeling energy come through you towards the ground and back from the ground, for feeling the body open and close, and put that to use and make the whole form go. This demands real concentration, but the degree to which you can do it, you'll get a great payback. So really, every single thing you do is the result of the changes you make on the inside, and the changes you make on the inside are nothing more than alternating empty and full, rising and falling, opening and closing. Give it a shot. And go ahead. So you might have to do that more than once to feel like you're actually able to get it. And you'll start to understand why Baton would say, in answer to, why do you go so slowly? Because there's so much to do. In just looking at my own progress, there's been some pivotal things that made a real difference in terms of my skill. Obviously learning the form in the first place and just getting the awareness and the attention and taking twists and turns and all that kind of stuff out of my body. Then working with Ben and having him really drill us on square form and on the 5 principles: relax, separate, empty, and full, turn the waist, body upright, beautiful lady's hand. And really doing everything we needed to have that be true all the way through the form, and to learn all the square form checkpoints. Then years and years and years of working with our teachers on that and just, working it. But then this idea that all the motions should be authentic, that they all should be the result of nothing more than open and close, sinking and rising, and alternation of empty and full, and taking that seriously through the whole form. So we're trying to give you a bunch of stuff here. We've really enjoyed recording this little session on the first third. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope you will find this useful too. When you're working on it, again, questions will come up. Don't hesitate. Ask us about them, and we'll give you some clues. And enjoy your practice, and we'll see you all again real soon.